Hey, this is Mad Movie Mark of the Mad Movie Mark Movie Review. Thank you for joining me as I review the 1925 action adventure swashbuckler of sorts, The Eagle. Hey, there's no reason to act alarmed. I think this is going to be a pretty decent review. Now, if you're new here, I am reviewing every movie that's on the 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die list. I have promised that this is the updated edition, so we are going to roll with that. This movie stars Rudolph Valentino as Lieutenant Vladimir Dubovsky and Vilma Banky as Marcia. Now, this is my first time ever seeing a Rudolph Valentino movie, though I know he was a huge, absolutely big star of the silent film scene. Though he did tragically pass away at the age of 31, he was considered one of the great Latin lovers of screen. I think like the first Latin lover of screen. And I will say that I'm not a fan of this movie. I didn't really like it at all. It is based off a book. Now, the driving force of this movie is the revenge of the Black Eagle. He's trying to get revenge on someone who killed his father. It's what motivates him. It's what drives the action. And in the book, there is no character of the Black Eagle, and they added it in this movie because Douglas Fairbanks did Zorro, and Zorro did so well that they wanted to try to capitalize it on themselves. So they made a Zorro-like character and put him in a movie that's based on a book where that character does not exist. So off to a very great start already. I honestly thought this movie was a bit boring. It is aged very poorly as far as the film quality goes, and I don't think the acting is that great. The storyline, especially at the end of this movie, really falls apart for me. It's really ridiculous, and I would say I'm not a huge fan of someone putting on a very thin mask and no one knowing who that person is, but my favorite movie of all time is The Princess Bride, and Wesley kind of does the same thing. But it's just kind of ridiculous in this movie to me, and I feel like it takes itself seriously when it just doesn't seem like it's a very serious movie. So in the beginning, we are introduced to Lieutenant Vladimir Dubovsky. He is a lieutenant in the Imperial Guard of the Russian Army, and there is a runaway carriage in the very beginning, and he jumps on a horse, and he goes from the horse to the carriage, and he saves the two women from this runaway carriage. Now, Rudolph Valentino did his actual stunt in this movie for this scene because he wanted to be more like a Douglas Fairbanks character, a Douglas Fairbanks actor, in doing his own stunts and doing his own crazy scenes like this. So he was trying to be more of an action star, I guess, as opposed to like a Latin lover character. So he decided to do his own thing here. Now, when he gets back to his army platoon or whatever it is, the person who's in charge of him, the Sarzina, I guess is what she's called, she is basically in love with Rudolph Valentino's character Vladimir, and she says, "Hey, have you ever thought of wanting to like have a promotion in my army?" And he says, "Oh yeah, that's great. Like, who wouldn't want a promotion? That's fantastic." And then she kind of says like, "Well, you can have a promotion, but you gotta do a little something for me." And then she says, "You stay right there. I'm gonna go put on a little something more comfortable." And he gets spooked by this because the girl who was in the carriage earlier, who was in the runaway carriage, who he saved, he like fell in love with her at love at first sight, and he doesn't want to be with this army leader, so he decides to just hightail it out of there and basically becomes a deserter of the army. Now, this Sarzina girl, she is completely humiliated by the fact that he left, and she puts out an arrest warrant for him. I think like the arrest warrant says captured dead or alive for deserting or something, which seems a bit like over the top. I mean, I get she's like a scorned woman and she's in this high position and she doesn't want to be made a fool of, essentially, and she doesn't want to show that her men can just desert whenever they want to. I don't know if this is like a normal punishment in the military or in the army, especially in Russia, but it just seems a little harsh to me. But the person she is talking to about this arrest warrant, she ends up hitting on this other guy, and he ends up taking her up on the offer, so they end up becoming like a couple. Now, you can totally forget about her for the rest of the movie until like the last 10 or 15 minutes, because she doesn't matter. I thought that she was going to matter. I thought that he was going to be on the run from her, and like he was going to turn into like this Black Eagle character, because these people were after him and he was trying to elude them, and he became this vigilante type thing. But that's not what happens at all. So we're going to go into a completely different plot here. There's a guy named, he's a nobleman named Krila, and for some reason, I think he just likes to pick on peasants. For some reason, he decides to kill Vladimir's father and take over his land. And after realizing this, Vladimir decides he is going to become the vigilante character to get revenge on Krila and to ultimately kill him. And while he's doing this, he will also be like a Robin Hood, where he robs from rich people and gives to poor people. Like I said, this is a completely different plot point away from the other plot point, but eventually we will get back to him being a deserter, but the deserter thing doesn't matter right now. There's no point. Don't even think about him being a deserter, because no one cares. So the girl who was in the carriage earlier ends up being Krila's daughter, and he ends up meeting her again, and he realizes that he actually does love her. So he has this inner struggle with himself of wanting to kill Krila, who is her father, but then he also wants to be with her, so he also does not want to kill Krila. So he has this struggle back and forth. Now he ends up becoming the tutor of this girl. What's her name? Marcia. This is the girl he saved earlier, who he's now in love with. He becomes a tutor because apparently he's qualified to tutor her and something. I don't know, like, if we have any backstory on that, or why we should believe that he is gifted enough to tutor her in something, or how Krila even found out that this guy is a tutor. I have no idea. But apparently he's a tutor, and he's tutoring her in things, and he becomes her tutor. Now she ends up realizing that he is the masked eagle, the Black Eagle, but she doesn't care, because she ends up falling in love with him anyway, even though he is trying to kill her father. So, end of the movie, we'll go to the end of the movie. A lot of things happen. There's like a dinner scene, which is like an incredibly famous scene because of a trick that they do with the camera, which is why I think this is on this list at all, is because of the camera work that they do in this movie. Otherwise, I have no idea why this would even be on this list. But so let's fast forward to the end of the movie, where Krila ends up figuring out that Valentino, or Vladimir, is the Black Eagle, and his daughter Marcia ends up running away with the Black Eagle, even though he's trying to kill her father. She ends up running away with him. They fall in love. When he gets back to town where he came from, now we can remember that he's a deserter. He gets arrested, and the Czarina signs a death warrant for him and says that he should be put to death. But you can tell deep down inside, she doesn't really want him to be put to death, because there's honestly no reason for him to be put to death. because she's scorned, because he did not reciprocate her feelings like he's supposed to be put to death. So she ends up putting her new man in charge, and she says, okay, you're in charge of seeing this through, of putting him to death, of doing whatever you want with him. Like, you're in charge, I'm leaving this up to you. So we are made to believe that he is killed by a firing squad, and her new boyfriend comes up to Czarina and says, well, the firing squad's about to fire any second now, just to let you know that Vladimir is going to be killed, just like you asked, with the death warrant. And she says, oh no, I didn't really want him to be killed. I signed a death warrant just for funsies. Like, I didn't really mean for you to actually follow through with this. I was just trying to make a point, even though I never said that. You were supposed to get what I was throwing at you, that I didn't really want him to be killed. And then he says, I understand what you were saying. I didn't kill him. He's going to live under an assumed name, but the person that we know him as is going to say that he was killed in a firing squad. So he's just going to live under a different persona. That way you don't look like a fool, and he can go ahead and keep on living, and he can be with this Marcia girl. That's basically the whole movie. He ends up living. He ends up going away with Marcia. I don't think anything happens with the Krila, from what I can remember. That just is kind of forgotten about, just like Sarzina was forgotten about in the beginning. This is just an incredibly, like, it's not confusing, but you can tell, I mean, you can kind of tell where they pigeonholed this whole Black Eagle character in the middle where it doesn't belong for no reason, just because they want him to be like a Zorro character. It's completely ridiculous. The whole plot line up to that point is stupid. I, for no reason, ever believed that Marcia actually loved Lieutenant Vladimir Dubovsky, because, like I said, he's trying to kill her father. Why would she fall in love with him? It's so, and she has such a great relationship with her father throughout this movie. In fact, she even stops at some point. We think that the Black Eagle is going to kill her father, and she actually stops it, and then they realize that the Black Eagle's gun wasn't loaded anyway, and apparently, like, that was supposed to be, and then she has like a smirk or something on her face when she realized it wasn't loaded. So what was even the point of that? I have no idea. I just, and the fact that this movie is also aged really badly, it just looks, the film quality looks terrible. It's just not, it wasn't a fun watch. It was a bit of a drag. This kind of movie is supposed to be fun because it's a swashbuckler. It's like a revenge. It's supposed to be like a Robin Hood Zorro type thing, and those are usually fun movies. Those are entertaining. But this in no way for me was entertaining at all. I was completely bored by it. And it was just a slog, I'll be perfectly honest. If I give it any credit, the credit in the beginning, I thought the beginning was pretty solid, and the end was pretty solid. The parts where he is in the army and he has a death warrant, and even though I thought the ending itself was bad, I still think that the chemistry he has with the Sarzina and all of that was okay. It's just the middle portions that I absolutely hated. The whole thing where he's the Black Eagle I thought was completely ridiculous. But I'm still going to give it a 6.5. I mean, it's not a terrible movie. It's just incredibly boring. It's like, it's not something I would recommend to anyone at all. There's other movies on this list that are more memorable, that are better. I probably will never remember this movie. It's just going to be completely forgettable. I'm going to remember the better movies that I watch, like The General. Like, I will be reviewing The Phantom of the Opera soon. That'll be a memorable one. But this one's completely forgettable. It is a 6.5 out of 10. Thank you. Have a great day.